Welcome back to Divine Reflections. Today I wanted to make a video about how our senses have been compromised. We can no longer navigate this reality that we're in, the Matrix, using our five senses only. Now we have to use our mind, we have to do research, we have to go deeper than it seems. Because all our senses, when you look at it, and I'm gonna break it down, have been compromised. We live in a world that's solely out to get one thing. That's money. Corporations do not care about your health. The government does not care about your health. They're not looking out for you. You have to look out for yourself. Because we live in a weird, messed up time now that we've been manipulated, we've been, distorted our reality to become something that's profitable to corporations, but that's destroying our internal health, our mental health, breaking apart the dynamic structure of families and the tribal communities that we've been used to for thousands of years. So we have to realize that we have to navigate this world with intellect, and thankfully we have the tool, which is the internet, which is how you guys are watching this, and that's the ultimate tool that you're going to find to be able to navigate this reality and be able to see past all the tricks and the illusions and the deceptions. Because everybody that's out to get money, if that's their number one priority, they're going to put ingredients in there at that is the cheapest cost. They're going to fill it with chemical synthetics, additives, all these things so that they can get the bottom line. They can get the cheapest product and sell it to you at the most expensive price so that they can make the most profit. And if you're not aware of this, then you're going to consume that. You think that things that are because they're on the shelf, they're regulated? No, that's a big deception that people have been deceived. Like supplements do not get regulated. Most things do not get regulated unless something happens, there's an incident, then the FDA or whoever will step in and regulate that product. But these companies, they have like a free pass to basically put out all these things we don't know the long-term effects of, that are unnatural, that are synthetic, and that are poisonous most of the time. So let's get into some of these things, and let's go through the senses, and we can go and analyze through each sense and see how it's being manipulated and distorted and changed by this modern society that we're living in. So we have the taste, right, which is one of the most profoundly changed senses that we have that we're experiencing today. So we have toxic food and water. All the food is super stimulating, salty, sweet, oily. We have chemicals in it, MSG, aspartame. We have thousands and thousands of chemicals that are being put into this food to make it pleasing to your taste buds, to make you come back and want more and more and more. You can't get enough. You're literally addicted. People want to make fun and talk about, look down upon drug users. If you're eating this food, you're a drug user. Not only that, but you're more addicted than the drug user. They've done studies on mice, and they found that even after they got these mice addicted to cocaine, they put cocaine in their water, and then they introduced sugar into their water, they found that the sugar was 10 times more addictive than the cocaine. So they preferred the sugar over the cocaine at a rate of 10 times more. So that just right there is already a clue for you to zone in and be looking at this world like, wow, like there's something going on. And sugar's in everything. Sugar is pumped into everything. High fructose corn syrup, every single product. Sugar from beets is in every single product, and it's just a refined version or refined compound of a food. It's not a whole food. It's like cocaine. It comes from the coca leaf, but the indigenous people to that place, they chew the coca leaf. It's a natural plant, grows on the ground, from the earth, from the soil, from this planet, and they chew on the leaf for energy, or if they're going hiking, they're climbing a mountain. But then what man does is it strips it of that alkaloid cocaine using ethanol, and it extracts that compound and refines it into a powder that's the pure alkaloid cocaine. And then people use this, they sniff it, they intake it as a drug, and they get hooked on it, and it has negative effects because it's no longer what it was. It's been adulterated, it's been compromised. Same with the food. You're taking the sweetness, the sugar out of a plant, out of a fruit, and you're refining it, processing it, stripping it of all nutrients, and then you come out with this highly refined compound that is no longer a food. Now it's a drug. It's a drug that's messing with your senses. You put that in the food, people will eat it all day. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's got that high amount of sugar, people are going to come back to it because they're addicted. Their taste buds, it's creating chemical reactions in their brain that is having them addicted, because the way our physiology is set up, we're designed to seek out that which gives us a certain pleasure because it represents survival in a natural environment. So you go to a sweet fruit and you find a sweet fruit, it tastes delicious to you, and you want to consume a lot of that because you don't know when the next time you're going to find another fruit like that is. But the problem with today is that we have an abundance of food. People can eat an abundance of food every single day. In America, nobody really goes without food. Nobody starves to death in America. We actually do the opposite. We eat ourselves to death in America. So, we have this different scenario, but the same physiology. So now you have to think about it, because your physiology is saying, oh, eat as much as that as you can, because you don't know when you're going to get food again. But your reality is saying you're going to get food whenever you want. Next 2 hours, you have food right there. So now we have to step into this mindset of being an intellectual about what we put into our body, which is nourishing every single cell in our bodies. All the food you intake is feeding you, it's building your tissues, building your cell membranes, feeding nutrients to your brain, your organs, every single cell. Why do you think people prayed over food? Because they understood this concept. They understood that they had to be thoughtful about what they put inside of their selves, and that fed their other cells. So we have to be smart about this. We have to love ourselves enough so that we can make the proper decisions and not care about that food. Because if you want to upgrade yourself as a human being, you want to upgrade your body, you want to function at your full potential, you want to utilize your brain more, you want to utilize your body, you don't want that body to be aching, you want your bones to be really strong, not brittle. You have to worry about what you're eating on a day-to-day basis. You have to want to put the best nutrition into your body and become the best, body that you can have, so that you can operate in this world as best as you can. Some people, if they had to climb a tree for their food, they'd starve to death. That's how bad it is, that people don't even have the strength to climb a tree. They're too overweight to climb a tree. There is an unnatural situation. We look around and we see everybody's overweight because they're only abiding by their senses. They're only abiding by the taste buds. They say, they look at, eating food that tastes good as a form of self-love. Yet, if you loved yourself really, you do the research and find out what's really inside of the food that you're eating. Because people are literally, if you go by self-love, and self-love is considered, just eating whatever's pleasing to your taste buds, and some people literally eat themselves to death. They really do. if that's what you consider self-love. But no, self-love is doing the research, going in and finding out what's the best for your body, and then putting that in your body and being conscious about the decisions that you're making regarding those things, okay? So we have our sight, which has also been compromised. Now we have Photoshop, we have CGI, artificial blue light, we have cell phones, computers, we have all this stimulation. We know we have advertisements. We were constantly being bombarded by our visual sense to trick us, to manipulate us into doing certain things. So we have advertisements. You're driving on the freeway, all of a sudden you see this big, beautiful, bold ad for a McDonald's cheeseburger. Super cheap price. I don't even know how they get it that cheap. Probably because the government has subsidized the meat and dairy industry, but it's amazing, really, and because it's full of synthetic chemical compounds that really don't cost much. But you're being constantly bombarded by our visual sense to eat certain foods, to buy certain things, to consume things that you don't really need. What are the essentials for a human being? Food, shelter, water, air, sunlight, nature. Pretty basic. Do you need the latest gadget? No. Do you need a bunch of clothes? You need the latest fashion? No. Do you want it? Perhaps, if you've been manipulated, if you've been programmed to believe that you need that. But so we have to be careful about what we're looking at. You can't just go and see whatever movie you want. You could, but you have to understand there's certain implications that you're being programmed from the visual level. Everything you're looking at is programming your subconscious mind. So when you're out in the streets and all of a sudden, you see something and it looks appealing to you, and then you remember, wait, why do I want this? And then you remember that you saw an ad on TV that told you how amazing it was and how you needed this thing. That's how it works. That's how these little kids are throwing temper tantrums in the store, wanting a toy that they saw on TV that they're programmed to want during their commercial break of their favorite show. So now they're programmed to want that object, and they're valuing that object as if it, as if they need it, and they don't even value the food that actually sustains their life. They don't even value the planet that provides all these things, the planet that all these things are being extracted from. They don't even value that, because we're not teaching them to value that. We're only teaching them to value whatever they see on TV. So you have to be smart about what you're subjecting your vision to. Even this artificial light right now, I have the window open because I don't want the artificial light. I prefer the sunlight. And even right now it's being filtered by the window because I don't want the noise. But our sunlight is the best light source you can ever find. It's the source of all living things on this planet. At that level, realize that the sun is not your enemy. The sun is your friend. The sun is that's the original deity, because we understood that there was a source from where everything comes and is provided for on this planet. The algae that produce most of the oxygen on this planet, the trees that produce the oxygen on this planet, where is it getting its energy from? It's all photosynthetic sun radiation, energy, information that's being broadcast from the sun to the earth, giving this planet life in abundance. And people are looking down on it. People are covering their skin. We'll get to that right now, but it's crazy. So the sun is the best sunlight that you can get. The blue light, the artificial light, the light that's on your phone, light that's on your computer, light that's from your TV, that's destroying your retina. It's destroying your vision. It's causing macular degeneration. It's it's destroying the DHA that's in your eyes. It's really causing damage at a level that we don't really understand. Some of us do, but it's not really in the popular mainstream that this is happening. But the reasons some of the companies like Apple put in the night shift mode is because they're trying to protect themselves from potential lawsuits in the future that's going to come from this degeneration of the eyes, because people are looking into their phones 24/7, scrolling through Instagram on useless things and looking for things to like and updating their home every 5 seconds. So it's becoming another addiction, that we've been programmed through our vision, through intake, and we have so many assaults on our vision that we have to be careful what we're seeing. You're seeing a latest movie, you think it's just some cool flick that somebody directed, but really it's programming you to believe a certain thing. I'm seeing a lot of the transhumanism programming. We're seeing this sci-fi transhumanism reality unfold right before our very eyes, and we're being programmed through the movies, through the TV, through the entertainment, to accept it blindly without asking any questions, without asking what's the alternative, without asking what are the side effects, without asking if we can do things better naturally, without looking at it from any other perspective. We're just being pushed to this agenda, right? So you have to be careful about what you're watching too. Everything that you're watching is programming you. And I know it's hard for a lot of people to just get educational videos and to watch movies that aren't programming them in a negative way, but you have to start to reduce that stuff, and just be programming yourself with the best truth that you can find. So smell is another thing that's been compromised in our day-to-day life. These smells that we have now are triggering food addictions. They're stimulating parasite activity. You smell that burger, especially if you've been off of meat for just a small while. You smell a burger or meat or some barbecue being grilled up. All of a sudden, your stomach starts rumbling. What is that going on? What is that? Your intestines, actually, it's not even your stomach. Your intestines start rumbling, and that's not you. That's what's living inside of you. That's making that movement, that's being stimulated by you, because it's connected to your nervous system. And when you intake that information from the smell sense, the olfactory sense, then it's receiving that information as well, and it's stimulating movement in your intestines, and you think that's your sign that you need to go eat a burger, but no, it's something that's controlling you. It's the parasitic activity. See, these things are millions and millions of years old. They're older than us. They understand how to survive. They're not here to play games. They'll harbor in your body if you provide the right environment, until you stop providing that terrain for them to be able to survive in. So they're super smart. They might be intellectuals like we are and know this information, but they know how to navigate and survive in the world that they do. So we have the toxic air, we have pollutants, we have air fresheners, all these toxic deodorants that people are putting on. We have the colognes, we have all these toxins that are being introduced from the smell. And so, but by the food, like I was saying, if you just go based off the smell, you might end up eating a lot of poison garbage, just because you're programmed. So you smell food, right? And then you eat it and it tastes amazing because of this chemicals and the synthetics and all the artificial things that, like the MSG that is just making everything taste better. So now your smell is correlating with that taste and that chemical response that you had in your brain. So now when you smell something that smells good to you, it's only smelling good because of the chemicals that it produced in your brain and that program that you received when you ate that food. So now you can't just go based off of smell, because most of us have already been tainted. We've already eaten food that wasn't natural, that was super stimulating, and we can't go merely based off of that anymore. Now we have to be smarter about what we're letting guide us. So the smell, you can't just go based off of smell for that reason. And also, we have the synthetic perfumes, we have with so many chemicals. We have the air fresheners that people are buying, the car fresheners. We have all these things to try to cover up, our natural smell. So like people have deodorants, right? They put on perfume, they put on cologne, they put on sprays. Why do they need that? It's because they're not eating food that's appropriate for their biology, and that's producing toxins that are being released through their pores, released through their lymph nodes. Where are they? Under the armpits. What do you put on there? Deodorant. Why? Because you're not eating right, because you're not living right. You're not living in accordance with nature. You think people needed these things before? This is a modern thing, you know. You walk into CVS, you walk into Walgreens, and they have a host of things to like try to suppress some of these symptoms of a toxic lifestyle. But you have to realize and look further than the surface. What is the root of that issue? If you're feeling that you need to spray things on you, it's because you're not eating right, you're not living right, you're not living in accordance with your environment. You know, in that nature, we would have natural pheromones, we would have natural body odors that would really attract other, you know, maybe if you're a male, potentially a female, and that would be natural, and you know, it'd be custom to you. Not everybody's walking around with the same cologne. Every woman smells the same because they're spraying the same perfume on themselves. But reality, we all supposed to have our own individual body odor that's based off of the chemical hormonal releases that's individual to our own biology. But people are covering that up with synthetics and all these things to try to cover up the symptoms of a toxic diet and lifestyle. So you have to be careful from this angle too. We have the sound, what you hear. Now we're being bombarded by unnatural sounds. We have no peace, constant artificial noise. You know, the cars, the airplanes, people blasting music, and music is another big program that most people have a really hard time letting go of, just because they've been so conditioned to love the music that they hear, you know, and it sounds good to them, and it's programming them with really stupid things that is not serving humanity. And I'll admit myself, I'll indulge in music too, but I operate from a perspective of understanding that I don't let it program me like that. It's just like background noise at this point. It's not something that I really embrace on that level. But even then, you have to be careful, because if you're not conscious of these realities, of the fact that things are programming you, then it's going to program you into your subconscious, and before you know it, you think you're this depending on what you're listening to, you know, you could be spending all your money on clothes, trying to be fresh, thinking you're this baller because you're trying to emulate some artist that's talking about it on his music. But you know, you're going out of your way, you don't even have the money to spend like that. You shouldn't even be spending like that to begin with. Stick to the basics. But you're being programmed so much through what you're hearing that you're living a life in accordance to that. And even like, you know, you go on Pandora, you have even the commercials now for like the toxic food. You know how you have McDonald's, you have all these companies advertising to us through our hearing sense. So we have to be careful with that too, you know. And living in the world that we do, it's not really conducive to our health to live in society with all these artificial sounds. We're supposed to be hearing the information from our environment that's relaying to us what's going on in our environment. You know, the birds singing, the birds giving us messages of potential invaders that are coming into our environment. If we were connected, we would understand this, you know. We would understand that certain animals give warning signs to other animals so that they can know of potential predators that are in the area. And that's how we're supposed to be connected through that sense. That's what that sense is for, so that we can articulate ourselves in the world by knowing and understanding what is in our environment without using other senses or as a supplement to other senses. But the hearing is very important when you look at it, when you listen really, and that you can really absorb information and program yourself positively if you are conscious of what's going on. You can you can do the binaural beats, you can, you know, do positive speeches, you can do positive affirmations, you can listen to very truthful information, you can go out in nature and embrace the full capacity of where you originated from and what sustains you. You can do so many things with this sense, but if you're only using it to the capacity that mainstream society is pushing on you, then you're going to be very limited. You're going to be programmed to just be a toxic person and have a toxic lifestyle, and you're not going to reach your full potential. So you have to, utilize your body for the purpose that you came in on this planet to fulfill. So also touch, now we have synthetic fibers, artificial surfaces, carpets, insulating clothing. We lost of stimulation from a natural environment. So we have all these synthetic, chemicals like, in our clothing even, that's not letting our body breathe, that's not letting our pores breathe. That's why I try to wear as little clothes as society will allow me to at any given time, or as society deems fit, But I feel better with less clothes, because I like to let my body breathe. I like to let my pores breathe. I like to let my sun absorb the most sunlight that it can. But if you're covering up as much as you can with all these synthetic fibers, especially, you're not allowing your body to breathe. You're harboring, you're putting your body in the situation to harbor, parasites or fungus or candida. A lot of these things are aided by the fact that you're wearing synthetic clothes all day that's not letting your body breathe, that's making it a musty environment for these bacteria to grow and proliferate in. So you have to be very careful with these synthetics too. Everything that we pretty much wear most of the time is synthetic. A lot of people are wearing a lot of synthetic fibers, just fibers that are stemming from like petroleum. That's super toxic to the body. That's not even really coming from nature. You want to wear really breathable fibers, maybe like organic cotton, things of that nature, so that your body can actually breathe and be conducive to the electrical charge that it's supposed to be conducive to. And so like the shoes too, we're wearing these thick synthetic rubber, plastic, petroleum based shoes that are insulating us from the ground, from the feeling, from the touch of the ground, the stimulation to our nervous system. You have, 1,000 nerve endings per square inch on the bottom of your feet. That's relaying information to your nervous system about your environment, the ground you're stepping on, but yet we don't really use that sense because everybody's wearing shoes. You're basically stepping on the same surface every day, all day. But we're not designed for that. We're designed to be on multiple terrains, different surfaces that are relaying different stimulus to our nervous system through our feet. So if you're wearing shoes all the time, you're not getting that vital information, and you're also conditioning your feet to be a certain way. You're conditioning your feet to just be on a certain surface all day. You have the elevated heel. You have the foot that's being pressed at the front, because they don't design shoes the way our feet are shaped for some reason, and we have all these things that are really depriving us of our sense of touch, So what else do we have? We have like the synthetic, even in your home, you have the carpet, which is a synthetic, is releasing all types of chemicals, So when we look at it, it's really just getting more of nature, embracing more of nature, and using our senses in nature. But when we're living in the city, when we're around the city, when we're around civilization, society, you have to be smart about your senses, because now they're being manipulated to get you to buy products. They're being manipulated to get you to act a certain way, to look a certain way, to want certain things, and you have to be smart and use your mind. That's the ultimate sense that you need to use to navigate in civilization, because we live in messed up times that are only really looking out for the best interests of corporations and businesses, and not for your health. So if you really care about yourself, you have to do the research and be diligent about all these things that I'm mentioning. So now we have I want to get deeper into the food and medicine paradigm. So let me describe the food that we have, the so-called food that we have nowadays that most people are eating. It tastes very good. It's highly stimulating. It's loaded with calories, but it has very little nutritional value. It's highly processed. cheap, inexpensive because it's been subsidized by government, widely available because it's cheap to manufacture and you can start up a business for relatively cheap, and everybody's addicted to it already, so you're gonna have customers. It's addictive and habit forming because of all the chemicals that they put in the MSG and whatnot. It forms emotional attachments. What's the one thing that people do? You know, people are sad. First thing, oh, let's go out to eat. Let's get some ice cream to make you feel better. And that's already forming an emotional attachment to the food. It clogs your body and produces disease. It's artificial and synthetic. So this is the food that most people are eating. That describes the food that most people are hooked on. The food that they don't even think twice about putting inside of their body. But then down the road, depending on their genetics and how it expresses, they get disease and then wonder why, even though they spent the last 30 years of their day, 3 meals a day, eating toxic, clogging, artificial, not natural, overly excessive in caloric value but no nutritional value food. You know, so it's crazy. You know, people are stuck in a zombie mode that they cannot see the reality of what they're putting inside their body. That's not food. It's a food-like product, but it's not really food. Food comes from the earth. Food comes from, you know, from the environment. It comes from nature. It doesn't come in a box. It doesn't come from a bottle. It doesn't come from a bag. These are processed already. The closer you get to the earth, go to the farmer's market, get yourself some local produce. The closer you get to that, is the better your health is going to be off, and the more nutrition that you're going to receive from that food, and that's going to actually help to, you know, have health in your body rather than create and promote disease. So the paradigm for a long time before was actually that we would use food as our medicine. We would intake the food to heal our bodies on a daily basis. And this is what it would look like on the other side of this artificial food that people are consuming. So it can be bitter and sour at times. It's not always appetizing because we're used to the highly stimulating, addictive food and sugary and very sweet. So these are, in contrast, this is what this food seems like to us. But reality, if you did a fast like I've done, you know, after a couple of weeks on just water, even the water will start to taste sweet because of the minerals that's in the water. But that's how you know how disconnected our taste buds are, how our palates are. We've been so used to super stimulating food that now this food that is medicine to us, it tastes bad because we want the sugar, we want the chemicals, we want the processed information. So they look like herbs and plants, low in calories but high in nutrients and medicinal compounds, raw or very minimally processed. Not as cheap as fast food anymore because that's real food and that takes money, time, and effort to produce. It's seasonal. It depends on the harvest. It's not available year round. It's not addictive and can actually help with addiction. Some of these herbs can actually help with addiction. Some of these medicines can actually help with addiction. They help heal emotional trauma. They help heal the body. They're natural, time tested for thousands of years. Probably hundreds of thousands of years, but really in medicinal systems like the traditional Chinese medicine, we know at least 5,000 years. So this is the using food as medicine paradigm, and these are some of the attributes of it as they relate to the food that people are eating most of the time. So we have to realize when we say something is bitter, sour, doesn't taste good, it's only because our palates have already been compromised and we don't really have a good baseline to operate from. So if you want to reset that, I would really encourage you to look into fasting, because fasting will reset your taste buds and it's a good way to get you initiated into a really healthy lifestyle, because it's going to basically reset your body as well as having an innumerable amount of other benefits to your body. But so this is the paradigm that we're operating from, and we have to realize that we're being manipulated, that out here everything is not what it seems. It's an illusion. Something might look good, taste good, smell good, and be horrible, poisonous, toxic for your body. And then on the other hand, something might look not as appetizing, not taste very good to your taste buds, and be the most profound medicine that you can consume. So how can we go based off of our senses if this is the reality that we're now experiencing? We can't. We have to be smart, do our research, and be in tune with our body, and realize that everything you're putting into your body is having a positive, a negative, or no effect at all, or it's being processed in some way by your body, and it's becoming nutrition for every cell in your body. So to love yourself, CELL, self, your cells, is to put the right, correct nutrition inside of you, and to really become a whole person by not putting these man-made compounds in you. Becoming as natural as possible, you'll be as strong as possible. Your bone structure will be proper, your organs will develop fully and function properly. Your brain will develop fully and function properly. Your eyesight will not degenerate if you live, consciously, by not being guided only by the senses, but by doing your research and learning how to navigate in the sick society. But most of all is getting back to nature, is really getting back out there and trying to do what we have to do to get closer to the source of it all, to get away from the sickness of the city, of the civilization, and to get away from this trap that we're in, that we're just like slaves to the system, and it's just selling us and selling us and selling us things, and unbeknownst to us, because we're going off of our senses that we've gone off for millions, hundreds of thousands of years, But now it's a different time, so we have to be conscious and be aware and really tap into the reality that we're living in right now, and just look at everything around you and observe it before you consume something. Know where it comes from, know its origin, know what's in it, know how it's going to affect your body. And I'm not just talking about food, I'm talking about entertainment, visual stimulation, what you're hearing, what you're smelling, what you're touching, what you're putting on your skin, your body. All these things matter, and they all accumulate to your health, vitality, and your happiness ultimately. So be smart about this. Love yourself. I love myself. I hope y'all love yourself, and just keep evolving and growing in this path, and learn to navigate and get to where you want to go eventually. But be smart about it and do the research, and in time you will become your greatest version. All right, peace, y'all. Love.